Welcome back, guys. We are doing episode 2 of Quantifiably Bitchy. I can't believe it's already been like a month since my first episode came out. Thank you everybody for watching. Welcome new subscribers. I can't believe there's like 37 of you. That's nuts to me. So thank you so much for being here. Episode 2 of Quantifiably Bitchy, a Hannibal podcast. Today we are exploring season 1, episode 2. I am really excited to do this episode with you guys today. Episode 1 was more just like kind of introductory stuff. Now we're gonna kind of get to know the characters a little bit more. We're getting some new characters in. We're getting the general like structure of the show and how it's gonna play in front of us. So that's really exciting. I took notes this time. Who knew that like being prepared would be more helpful? Leave it up to ADHD. Like, I'm one of those people that will be like, yeah, it's not easier, I'll just go off the cuff. But turns out preparing is helpful. So there's your super intuitive advice from me for today. So you're welcome. We'll see how much I actually refer to my notes, but I have them. Yeah, so season 1, episode 2, Amuse Bouche. Turns out I was pronouncing the episode 1 wrong, but mind your business. It's fine. We're good. We're all learning together. Yeah, so let's get started. I have my little, my AirPods in now. I have everything queued up, unlike last time I was like struggling to survive. Season 1, episode 2. Let's go. In a minute. Amuse Bouche. Okay. Just kidding. There's ads. While the ads are playing, I just want to say that I do have a TikTok, Quantifiably Bitchy. I post a lot of dumb Hannibal memes there. Follow it. I also am on Bluesky at tchy. And yeah, on YouTube. So follow me on all those platforms. I just kind of want to just be everywhere with my Hannibal opinions. So follow me everywhere and join me on the journey. All right, season 1, episode 2, commence. Opening shot, we have the bullets falling. Opening shot of any episode is going to be important. How are we transported into this world again? I'm going to be talking about, you know, introductions, first shots, etc., till the end of time, because they're important. It's Will shooting the gun and it turns into, you know, Garrett Jacob Hobbs. Again, we're not in reality in the first moments of the episode, and Will is reliving this trauma. We are in his head. It's just this general feeling of instability that is just so important in the show. Nothing is static. Nothing is stable. It is ever changing. Jack knocking on the glass. Jack always being the one to like just throw a wrench in everything and just like etiquette out the window. Is not afraid to kind of shake Will and put it like jar him and disorient him, and it's really important. We start the episode at Gunpowder State Falls Park. Fun fact, I grew up pretty much walking distance from that park. People don't really live on it. It doesn't really look like this. It's beautiful. Garrett, you know, Jacob Hobbs is my neighbor, allegedly. But yeah, really stupid fact. I'm like, oh, the trees, they're not right. Nobody cares. But I do like that. I'm like, oh, that's my neighborhood. That's my hood. Scary antler cabins in my hood. I really love the antler attic. So many layers of symbolism, right? Like in this show, if there is a design choice, a shot choice, like it is on purpose. Everything's on purpose. Everything is deliberate. And I think that's truly really hard to do. But we have this deer metaphor, this deer symbolism, just like assaulting you in this antler attic. You're supposed to pay attention to it. You're supposed to remember it. It's important. And it's also just scary. Jack Crawford's immediately like, Abigail. She's helping him. I love Jack Crawford. He gets so many things wrong in this series, which I think is such an interesting choice because he's supposed to be this like renowned profiler. But he struggles with these, which is why he brings Will in, but he is coming to a lot of wrong conclusions. But Freddie Lowndes' hair. This is such a great intro to a character. You know me, the women in the show are, I think, really interesting, important, and very different from the men, and the dynamics are kind of switched. Her score, when it cuts to her being naked in her house or hotel room or whatever, it's so good. Brian Reitzell, who does the music for Hannibal, he also did the music for Bling Ring, which is another movie I really like and I think has a great score. It's just very like, it feels very like rocky music, badass. It's like a little assaulting, and it's just perfect for her because we get her in this plaid chair. First of all, you know, we love the plaid. Brian loves plaid. It's the patterns, the texture. But she's butt-ass naked, out of a shower, serving face in the laptop screen. And you're like, who is this woman? I love Freddie Lowndes. I did not love her at first. I thought she was really annoying and just like getting in everybody's way. But like, that's the beauty of the character, is that she is a bitch that is just going to like ruin your whole day, laugh about it, and then write about it on her blog. I love that she is just constantly an issue for the cops, for Will Graham. I love how much she doesn't like Will. Again, I always love a character that's going to be like, that's like thinks the opposite of what everyone else thinks about a character, especially if they're loving them. Everyone loves Will. Everyone's interested in him. And Freddie's like, this man is annoying. She's a queen. I love her. I love the intro she gets, especially because she's like naked. We're seeing her as is. In the rest of the series, she's dressed in like very patterned, textured, clashing outfits, and to just have this first shot of her being completely naked. Yum. Brian Fuller just like never disappoints in the style aspect of the show. It's just so fucking good, you know? Anyway, I could talk about Freddie Lowndes like literally all day long. Because again, I am her. Like, I want to be telling everybody secrets, writing about it, getting attention for it, fucking up these men and like their lives and their plans, and just being a menace and looking really cute while doing it. That's very much like in line with me as a person, I think. Will Graham putting his glasses back on. You know, I recently learned that, you know, he chooses not to wear them in certain scenes and other scenes, and there is this like inconsistent use of the glasses, which fun and understandable because he doesn't like eye contact. The glasses are very much like a wall. Feels very safe. I can relate to that as someone who, you know, gardens. Sometimes I don't want to be perceived, so it's like sunglasses on. Mad respect for that. Sympathy. I understand. Then we get Alana visiting him at the FBI headquarters. Alana's such an interesting character in these earlier episodes, the way they dress her. So soft, so feminine. She wears those like kind of like rayon, stretchy, like patterned dresses, very safe. She's just very like standard woman, I think. So pretty. Motherly. I don't even want to say motherly, but it's more just like protective of Will. And that shifts over time, but like these very early episodes of Alana and Will, I'm very much rooting for them in like a very like heteronormative way. They're just so sweet, and I want them to be together, and it's just these characters don't stay this way for very long, and it's much more interesting. But I definitely am acknowledging those feelings, like I'm rooting for these two. Especially, she's like, oh, Jack's coming. Ambush time. Lawrence Fishburne brings this really great attitude and just ego to this character, like almost like a bully. It's Alana and Jack in this scene are very much like mom and dad. Mom is wanting to protect and preserve, and dad is like, you're gonna be a man and be in this on the field with me. Poor Will is always just having these like angel devil mother father moments with these characters. And Jack's like, I really want you to go to therapy. Hannibal Lecter, it'll be easy because I feel bad about what happened and want to sleep at night. Selfish. Jack is very self-serving, again, for the greater good. And I feel like Alana senses that and is trying to protect him from that. Jack is like, I need to make sure you didn't get too close. Yeah, whose fault is that? Therapy doesn't work on me. Oh, Will is so annoying. Oh my God. He's such like, I am not like the other girls. Yeah, you're right. You're worse. Go to therapy. We'll do anything but go to therapy, men. I swear to God. And then the therapist is Hannibal, and it's just like the most unethical therapy in the world. I do love the shot. Who can't love the shot? Hannibal's office, Will in the loft, Hannibal on the floor level. It's just, you know, shot in this wide shot, tilted up, not from Hannibal's perspective, but you know, we do get that up angle. They are not on the same level. He cannot reach Will. It's also, I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Sixth Sense, but it's like in the beginning of the movie when Bruce Willis is trying to trick the kid into therapy, Haley Joel Osment, and he is like trying to be his friend and using like the kind of those tricks on him. That's kind of happening here, which is really funny to me because it's like two grown men and he is trying to like lull him into a sense of security and being like, yeah, therapy's stupid, even though he is a psychiatrist, you know what I mean? Love this shot. The red, again, a very assaulting color. I know it's like in every episode this season. It's just a beautiful shot all around. It's very good. The silhouette of Hannibal's suit. I love that the suits fit these men in this show. One of my biggest pet peeves is like the Trump suit. It like just too big. It looks like shit. The tailoring in this show just scratches an itch for me. I digress. And then he just rubber stamps him. Oh, it's so good. This like false sense of security. Like, yeah, you're right. We're just friends. I'll say you're fine. But it's because he wants to get to know him and make it feel like a safe space. Oh, it's so good. And like these men in their little like castles in their mind, you know, Jack has his Evil Minds Museum, which I know is a real place, but it's like a place in his head, I imagine as well. And like Hannibal with his stupid castle, like they'll do anything but go to like real therapy. They're like, no, I will compartmentalize a mansion in my head instead of dealing with this like an adult. Do we think that Hannibal actually feels responsible for Abigail? Because I don't really think so. I think he is intrigued by the situation and the dynamic, even the dynamic of having a pseudo daughter, because he probably never imagined himself having children, in my opinion. Graham is such an astounding little brat in these first episodes. I mean, always, but pisses me off. Men annoy the fuck out of me. He's not wearing glasses in that scene too, which I think is important because, again, he is being open and honest in himself with Hannibal, whether he's realizing it or not. Oh, I love the scene in the woods with the kids. They're like, that's marijuana. Girl, that's a fern. Read a book. Idiot kid. They're like, oh, it's mushrooms. Marijuana. The public schools are failing us, people. Oh my God. Something that's really good about these first episodes, and I know it wasn't like entirely intentional, is that there is this procedural feel to it. And I know Brian Fuller was like, you know, procedural equals death, which I respect. I disagree. I really think some procedurals can be fun and well done. I like that Hannibal is not a traditional procedural. We get introduced to the murderer kind of first, and we work backwards, which I think is a great format. It is non-traditional. It lets them tell the story of how Will and Hannibal work together and how Hannibal is kind of piggybacking on these crimes without being, you know, a true blue procedural show. So you get that feeling of, oh, we're dealing with a different crime each episode. That eventually goes away. But I like this fake procedural setup as kind of a plot device that drives Hannibal and Will's dynamic in a way that we can see it in a way that we understand. So I know this was kind of like a network thing, is my understanding, that they wanted it to be this way and Brian didn't. So he twisted it in a way that kind of works. Not kind of works, it really works. Because at first I was like, is this just going to be a procedural show? And the answer is no, but it does start out that way. And I appreciate that seasons 1, 2, and 3 have very different structures. I know that that was kind of a censor network type of thing too. The vibe of the show with what the network wanted and what Brian wanted were different. But I also appreciate that they were trying to do new things each season and see what worked. Where, you know, I know Brian says that season 3 was what he really wanted the vibe of the show to be. But I appreciate that we grow when we get there in different ways and see the different seasons and chapters in a different storytelling way. So yeah, season 1 is definitely like your procedural crime drama with a twist, with the flu. You know, it's just like a little off in a way that works. And I think it's very telling and appropriate for Brian's style that it's like a little funky. It's not going to be your standard crime show. Yeah. I've said this before, but I like that Beverly doesn't really let Will be shy. It's a very interesting person who is able to hold the conversation with someone who is anxious or avoidant in a way that feels like she's just immediately acting like your friend, whether you know her or not. And I think with Will, that feels like he can be safe with her. I love the attitude she brings. I love the allyship to Will. I love that she's not afraid to touch him. She's just a boss. She's so confident. I love the way Hetty M. Park portrays that on screen. I hope I'm saying her name right. The confidence and the give a fuck of Beverly is just really, it plays so well with Will, who is always trying to hide and avoid people, and she really just doesn't let him do that. It's also just a really good representation of characters that are of opposite genders getting along in a way that's not romantic. So it's awesome. I just love the portrayal of it. I love how the women are written. The mushroom bodies. This is very The Last of Us. therapy might work on you after all. Pay attention, Jack. Please pay attention. I know you're smart. You're like a really good FBI agent, but I need you to pay attention. Oh my God. I love Scott Thompson. I love his delivery of Jimmy Price. I know it's, you know, sometimes they wanted it to be serious and it's funny, but I just think the levity in his delivery is so important to the dynamic of the group. Because again, they're scientists, they're in a lab all day. They're not going to be tactful always, but it brings a levity that's just appropriate enough. And I think that there is a lot of comedy in his directness as well. Will Graham with another grandpa fit. I just love the progression of his fashion as the series goes on, because it's so hetero in this first season, especially. The flannel, the like green army vibe jacket, and Freddie Lounge just shows up. Freddie Lounge shows up to the crime scene with her little digital camera, her perfectly like structured pea coat, and she's like, yeah, I'm one of the moms. These dumbass cops, like, don't talk to strangers. I don't care who you say you are. Mouth shut. I guess I've watched enough crime shows that I'm like, who are you talking to? You don't know them? He should have been fired. He's like, who's that guy? Oh, the consultant from the FBI. And it's just Will Graham just like standing there like that emoji. Oh my God, he's such a dork. The pendulum detail is so fun, and I think it's a good indicator of this is not a real moment. This is a reimagination. I'm in Will's memory, because again, sometimes I have a hard time being like, is this real or am I in somebody's head? So yeah, really nice detail in these first episodes, seeing his thought process kind of come to life on screen. And seeing him as the killer, like they don't show you the killer, they show Will as the killer, is so smart, because this man is always teetering between am I good or am I bad? So giving him the face of a killer is just a great little detail. Also, I got this Summer Friday lip balm. I gave in to the hype. I do really like it. This is my design. Do you think Will was like, I need a catchphrase? What'll sound cool? I think so. Ugh. The reaching up from the grave, a nice little horror moment. We love the, the zombie, rising out of the grave. Classic horror trope. And also really scary. And then Will going back to Hannibal and being like, I don't know if you should have rubber stamped me. Because he's such a sweet baby in the beginning and just wants to follow the rules and do right. And yeah, that's who he is. Like in the beginning, he is the good guy. And he's like, this is not honest. And Hannibal's like, did you tell Jack? No, I did not tell my neurotypical boss about my weird hallucinations. Like, no, that's why I'm here talking to you, because I know you're a fellow big weirdo. Mads plays innocent really good in these therapy scenes, just being like, let's talk about thinking of killing people and how that's normal. Oh, I've said this on Bluesky, but like Mads' facial expressions, they're so good. He has such great micro expressions for this character who is supposed to be very like straightforward, not super emotional, but it is all there. It's just tiny. Hannibal also really likes solving these crimes with Will, for sure. He likes committing crimes and he likes solving crimes. He's a multifaceted serial killer. Get you a girl that can do both. Ugh. they have like this great little flirty moment where he's like, you know, they can connect in a way that human minds can't. And Hannibal's like, yours can. Yours can. And Will's like, he liked that. Okay, so then we have, you know, Freddie Lowndes at the door with her little like headphones, like listening in like a spy. I do love the technology that she uses. It feels kind of dated in this scene, and I think that something this show does really well, and I'm assuming it's intentional because I think everything in the show is intentional, but you know that it happens in like the 2010s. You know, there's iPads. Chilton is an iPad kid. Hannibal has an iPad. But also we see like wired headphones, potentially a cassette tape. There's not, the tech is there, but it's very much like in the background. So if you really wanted to not really think about the time that this was taking place, you could do that. It Follows is like a very extreme example of that. You just don't know what time period it's taking place in because of the technology that's in the movie. It's very contradictory. This is a tinier version of that, but I do think that the time period is so incidental that we have these little bits of tech, but then we have older bits of tech, and it's just a very nice combination of keeping it a little ambiguous, just a little bit. I'm a big fan. The Freddie Lowndes outfit in Hannibal's office is one of the best in the show, in my opinion. It's not my favorite, like style-wise, like I don't know if I'd want to wear it. However, the power clashing that's going on here, the red plaid jacket, the tights, the hair, it is just supposed to assault, it's just supposed to like assault every one of your senses. And I think that is the essence of Freddie. Like, she is just here to fuck you up. She doesn't fit in, but like on paper, stylistically, yes, she fits in with the show, the red, the plaid. But when you see it, you're just like, you know? And he immediately clocks it. Are you Freddie Lowndes? I love that moment because you're like, oh, Hannibal's so smart. He's so intuitive. Like, we're not gonna be able to trick him. And I like a character that just knows what's going on at all times, even if it's the villain. I find it very reassuring and comforting and just like somebody's paying attention. It's not Jack Crawford. Not yet. It's Hannibal. But I do love that he is always just like aware. He knows what's going on. That's a great detail. Like, he immediately clocked her. Pay attention to that. He is not often tricked. He's usually in the know. The scene is also really scary. I thought that Freddie was going to die in this episode. Loud and wrong, but I was scared. Freddie holds her own. She holds her own against Hannibal. She is scared, you can tell. But she is strong. If you want to scare her, that like gives her, I feel like she's a character that's like, oh, now I'm less scared. You can't tell me what to do. I love a woman that doesn't listen. Making her sit on the couch with him. He's in the center. Scary. Music, creeping, scary. I really thought she was gonna die. I thought he was gonna cook her up. You've been terribly rude, Miss Lowndes. His delivery, it like shouldn't be that hot. Like, he's being so scary right now, and I'm like, yeah. One of my favorite scenes in this episode is when Jack is being served food at Hannibal's house. It's the next scene. And he's like, it's loin. Thinking Jack's not gonna ask, because he might not, because he's never paying attention. But Jack's like, what kind of loin? Pork. Because again, pigs are a big theme in this, and pigs are, you know, they're always being compared to humans, blah, blah, blah. But Hannibal really is like, loin. He's always trying to play with these people and just be in their face about how much he's making them eat people. And Jack is so hungry that he don't give a shit. And he's like, nobody cooks in my house. I'm always starving. Give me 1 million of these. I don't even care if they're people. The dinner scenes are so fun because we get to see how manipulative Hannibal is, because it seems like a really lovely evening and you kind of want to be there, but he is feeding them human beings and eating human in front of them. I'm one of the people that thinks eating people is like a spiritual sin. Personally, like, you can think whatever you want. But for me, I think that it's just like a crime against humanity spiritually and would freak me out. I'm not even like a religious person, but I don't think I could eat humans based on that as just like a spiritual thing alone. I don't know. And then we go into the broken pony speech, which is really crazy thinking, knowing what I know now that like about Miriam Lass. Every aspect of the conversation Hannibal is controlling. And he is bringing Jack's trauma and his weak spot up for the audience to know. Like, that definitely is a moment where we're supposed to understand that Jack lost somebody. We don't really know much detail about that. But Hannibal bringing it up full well knowing what happened to her is crazy work. I do love when we go back to the FBI and like we're looking at the mushroom bodies and Jimmy Price is just like pig poop. And you're like, that's not a scientific term. Love it. Great comedy. I just love characters that are kind of like Merry and Pippin from The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, right? Like two goofballs that are just bouncing off of each other constantly. I think if I was in something like this, that's a character I would love to play. I love writing characters like that. It's very like symbiotic poetry. I'm being pretentious, but characters like that are so fun. Putting them in diabetic comas is so scary. Gretchen Speck. Fun fact, speck is a type of meat. It's like a cured type of salami based, like you would see it on like a charcuterie board. Fun little detail. Also, this is how we're being introduced to the killer, because the killer's identity doesn't matter, right? That's not the point of these setups. Is not the killer, it's the Will Hannibal dynamic. The murders are just incidental. Another grandpa fit. Did he change? The timeline is messing me up here. He just has like these ugly, like canvas shirts in his car. Just changes scene for scene. Just kidding, they're not ugly, but they are just like, he's buying them in bulk. And Will's just like standing there again. Jack's getting angry. I love when Jack yells. It's such a good insight to his character, and it's scary and fun. I love it. I don't know. The dirt pile in the trunk is whack. But again, like kind of fun and new. You know, I've never really seen that in a show before. We've seen bodies in trunks, but like in dirt. Again, following that like procedural with a twist. Jimmy Price being like, no, but yeah, but no. You know he was scared to tell him because Jack is just like mad all the time. And they're just like reading this like at the counter, and Will's just like, you know, he's such a sensitive baby. He's like, but the Freddie Lounge music is back. Oh, I love when somebody has a score. Freddie's score is really good. If I can play it on here, I will. Hannibal on his little iPad. Seeing him with an iPad is odd. You are naughty, Miss Lowndes. Again, shouldn't be that hot. So annoying. Again, we're in her little, like, I assume it's Freddie's hotel room. These like awfully patterned walls. She's wearing like this tie-dye top. Clashing always. Oh, and the FBI just like face plants her on the bed. Oh, it's so funny. It shouldn't be that funny. I'm sorry, girl. I love this scene for so many reasons. Oh, I love Freddie Lounge so much. But like Jack immediately going to like police brutality, basically knocking her door in, throwing her ass on the bed, and then Brian Zeller in the back just being like Like, why would you sleep with the press? The men in the show piss me off so bad, constantly. He's like looking at her and I'm like, bro, what did you think would happen? Have you not been paying attention this whole time? She's hot, I get it. But like, come on, cause and effect. Dramatically rips that red hair out. Gil Grissom would love that. One of the best things Brian Fuller did was make Freddie Lounds female. And making her kind of like have a gossip brag. Like, it's just so good. She's like, please don't arrest me. That would be so awesome. But like, again, just the attitude on her and the not giving a fuck. Oh, and Brian Seller's like, you used me. Duh. And I would do it again. Ugh, the deer walking by the the hospital room. I love the deer. I love how it evolves. I love the CGI used. I love the texture. It's kind of feathery. We love a metaphor that has layers. This creeping evil, hidden, you aren't always seeing it head on. I think it represents Abigail sometimes. Alana in this, in one of her little dresses again. I actually really don't like the way she's dressed in the first season. I understand it. I think it's appropriate. Her fashion gets much better later on, though. I think her character gets better later on, too. But she's like reading to Abigail, being, again, motherly, matronly. Women are just so good at being nurturing. And I do love this kind of nurturing side of Dr. Bloom that we get. Another really good gender bend. I think that feminine energy is really important with Will's dynamic in the beginning. Because my first critique of the show is I didn't think there were enough women in it, and I wasn't sure I liked the way that they were written. I'm learning now that I'm wrong about that, and I'm very happy to be wrong about that. I do think when you think those things about characters, it's really interesting and important to ask yourself why, especially for me, who loves women characters in general. Like, I'm going to choose a woman over a man any day of the week. So for me to be like, why don't I like these characters? Delving into why really made me like them and kind of understand them, and it was just definitely like a me issue. But her softness is so important in this first season. Because again, Will is he's very straight in these first couple episodes. And Alana definitely contributes to that. And it's nice to see, it's a very stark way of seeing him kind of shift. Will Graham is such a babe. I'll never stop saying it. Like, I was a big fan of the OC growing up, and he's like so Seth Cohen coded. It's very obvious, like, where my character development lies. I have a type. It's twitchy little men that wear glasses and are neurotic and wear tight pants. Shoot me. I forgot that cop gets shot. He should have just gotten fired. Shot was crazy. And this is why when you're a cop or like involved in a crime, you keep your mouth shut and you don't just go flapping your lips to anyone who will listen. I do love that Freddie Lounds kind of weaponizes her hotness in a way that makes, men do stuff. I think it's genius. Let them underestimate you. Get what you want, bitch. The blood on Freddie's face. I do love when she has to kind of be faced with the reality of how fucked up everything is and how she kind of contributes to that. she doesn't care. She gets over it pretty quickly, but in this moment, she's definitely scared. I love that, like, even when Jack is questioning Freddie in the back of the ambulance, he's like, what did you tell him? And she, like, doesn't want to give up her source. Like, girl, people could die. And she's just like, I told him everything. That is not anything. Use your words, Miss Journalist. I do love that she doesn't like to listen, though. I'm just a sucker for that. I think more women should listen less. Is Will wearing a different shirt? Is this the third shirt change? I'm so confused. How am I just noticing this? It was like 2 solid ones and then a plaid one. Is this man changing outfits in his car? Like his bag of shirts? I can't. Oh, I forgot that he's trying to kill Abigail. Will says, not my baby. Not my baby. Who took her for tests? Just running around the hospital with this gun in his hand. What a psycho. Who gave this man a gun? It's interesting though, because, you know, in the first episode, he's too scared to shoot and he, like, you know, does it a million times, but then we see him shoot Stamets the one time. Fear conquered. We're good to go. We're already seeing a change in Mr. Graham. He said that will not happen again. He's a quick study. Will does understand, but I think, you know, Will understands these criminals, murderers, whatever word you want to use, Hannibal. I think understanding and sympathizing and empathizing are different. And that's an important distinction, I think, to keep in mind throughout the series, and what makes him different than Hannibal. I do think they're very yin and yang, and they complement each other, and Will does like the killing eventually. Sympathy and empathy are different. I love this shot of the Hannibal and Will talking at therapy again. Hannibal's blurry in the background, like right here. And Will is clear. Again, a beautiful style choice. It feels like a voice in his head almost. You feel very much in Will's perspective, and Hannibal's just in the background. Be aware of him, but you can't see him. Really great shot. I love this idea that Will is fixing boat motors in Louisiana. It's very much like from the book. I think he's in Florida in Red Dragon. Will being like, I like killing. He admits it this episode. Killing must feel good to God too. The discussion of God with Hannibal is so intricate because I don't think he thinks he's a god in the biblical sense. I think he thinks he's a god in the Greek sense. The Greek gods were horrible. They were very flawed, lots of ego, very powerful. And I do think that he relates to that version of God more than like the biblical sense, even though, you know, we get a lot of Dante and that as well. It's definitely important and a part of it, but God can be viewed as a spectrum and like the representation of that. It is a great way to end the episode in therapy with Hannibal and Will talking about liking killing, because it doesn't inherently make them bad, I don't think. It makes them human. I'm not sure I would enjoy killing, but I do think that if you did, it's like very primal. It's not black and white. But knowing that Hannibal kills people and is having this discussion with Will, he's feeling him out, building this ally. Will feels like it's a safe space to share those feelings. We're already kind of seeing the blurring of the two characters in the second episode, which is very interesting because one episode ago, Will was not a fan of Hannibal. but now we're seeing them become friends, become confidants. Yeah, so that was episode 2. I think, again, episode 1 is all about the introduction. I think episode 2, we get the structure of the show a little bit better. We understand that it's procedural like. But it's more about the relationship between Hannibal and Will, and we are getting more of the devil angel mother father between Alana, Jack, and Hannibal, and then Will just kind of being in the center. You know, it's very Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Yeah, I love this show. I cannot wait to get into more episodes with you guys. Season 2 is my favorite season, so I can't wait to get into that. I know we have a long ways to go before we get there, but I do like the way season 1 is set up, and I'm excited to pursue this like procedural vibe further and kind of see how that changes and evolves. Again, the show is not static. It does not stand still. It is an organic living being, and I think part of that is the creative process of Brian and team and how open they were to just trying everything. And you can really just see the show starting to kind of take roots and grow and become its own thing. So yeah, that was season 1, episode 2. I had a great time as always. Follow me on Bluesky, tchy. Follow me on YouTube, Quantifiably Bitchy. Follow me on TikTok, Quantifiably Bitchy. Like, comment, subscribe. I would just like to continue building this following with you guys and talking about Hannibal and having a good time. I'm always down to chat. Feel free to message me. I want to know all of your opinions. Other than that, I will see you next time. Bye.